My name is Finn. Growing up without my biological father left a void, but when my stepdad, David, stepped into our lives, he filled it with a warmth I'd never expected. Yet, as our bond deepened, a hidden spark threatened to set our world ablaze. My mom, a nurse at UCSF Medical Center, raised my brother Theo and me alone after Dad vanished when I was 7, his addiction a ghost we'd buried. At 7, I was navigating high school, a maze of cliques and expectations, my walls high from years of disappointment. Then David arrived when I was 14, a carpenter with a steady hand and a patient smile, unlike the sharp-edged memory of my father. David didn't try to replace Dad. He was something else, a quiet presence who showed up. He fixed my skateboard when I broke it, sat through my algebra struggles, and cheered at my soccer games, even in the city's relentless fog. At first, I pushed him away, wary of trusting again, but his consistency wore me down. A nod when I aced a test, a laugh when I fumbled a drill in his workshop, small moments that built a bridge. By 17, David was less a stepfather, more a confidant, our Saturday movie nights and Sunday carpentry sessions a rhythm I cherished. But that summer, everything shifted. One evening, as the Golden Gate Bridge vanished in the fog, David and I sat on our porch, the city's hum softened by the mist. He handed me a root beer, its chill grounding me. "You're growing up fast, Finn," he said, his voice warm, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "Feels like yesterday you wouldn't even look at me." I chuckled, sipping my drink. "I was a brat, huh?" David's smirk was teasing, but his gaze held something deeper, a flicker I couldn't place. "You were a challenge," he said, "but worth it." The words landed softly, but they stirred something unfamiliar. His look wasn't casual. It was searching, peeling back my defenses. My stomach twisted, a mix of comfort and unease. "Guess you won me over," I said, leaning forward, trying to lighten the mood. But David's eyes didn't waver, holding mine in a way that made my pulse quicken. "You've got a good heart, Finn," he said, his voice low. "Don't let the world dim it." The air felt charged, the fog closing in, amplifying the space between us. I nodded, unable to speak, hyper-aware of his presence, the warmth of his words. That night, lying in bed, I replayed the moment. David's voice, his steady gaze, the way he made me feel seen, it swirled in my mind, refusing to settle. I wasn't naive. I knew the flutter in my chest wasn't just gratitude. It was something more, something that scared me as much as it drew me in. Growing up in San Francisco, where pride flags flew high, I questioned my identity, but this was different, tangled in trust and taboo. Was I imagining it? Or was there something in David's eyes, too? The first twist came the next morning. As I stumbled into the kitchen, groggy from a restless night, David was there, coffee in hand, scrolling through his phone. "Morning, Finn," he said, his smile easy, but his eyes lingered a moment too long. "Sleep okay?" I mumbled a reply, avoiding his gaze, but my heart raced. Had last night changed something, or was it all in my head? As I poured cereal, Theo burst in, his sketchbook under his arm. "Finn, you're blushing," he teased, oblivious to the tension. David laughed, but his glance at me held a question, one I wasn't ready to answer. The San Francisco fog seemed thicker that day, mirroring the haze in my mind. I needed to understand this feeling, but the stakes were high. David was family, my rock. Could I risk ruining that? Yet, as I headed to school, Mom's words echoed. "Be true to yourself, Eli." A storm was brewing, and the next step would either ground me or pull me under. The San Francisco fog rolled through the Mission District, cloaking our home in a veil of mystery, but it couldn't hide the storm brewing inside me. At 17, Finn, was grappling with a truth sparked by a fleeting moment with my stepfather, David, a gaze too long, a touch too warm, a connection that blurred the lines of family. Mom's strength, "be true to yourself," echoed in my mind, but as I navigated the days after that charged evening on the porch, a subtle tension grew, pulling me toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. When a quiet afternoon in David's workshop turned into a confrontation with my own heart, A shocking twist threatened to unravel everything. The fog might have softened the city's edges, but the clarity of this moment would cut like a blade, and what happened next would leave me trembling on the edge of a forbidden abyss. The morning after our porch talk, I woke with a knot in my chest, David's words, "You've got a good heart, Finn," replaying like a haunting melody. School was a blur, my thoughts drifting to his steady gaze, the way it made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. Theo, my 14-year-old brother, noticed my distraction at breakfast, his comic book sketches forgotten. "You're acting weird, Finn," he said, narrowing his eyes. "What's up with you and David?" I brushed him off, mumbling about a tough math test, but his words lingered. Was it that obvious? David was in his workshop when I got home, the garage filled with the scent of sawdust and varnish. He was sanding a cedar bookshelf, his flannel shirt rolled up, his focus unbroken. "Hey, Finn," he said, glancing up with a smile that sent a jolt through me. "Want to help?" I nodded, needing the distraction, and grabbed a sandpaper block. We worked in companionable silence, the rhythmic scrape of sandpaper grounding me, but my eyes kept drifting to him. The way his hands moved with precision, the faint sweat on his brow. I hated myself for noticing, for feeling this pull I couldn't name. The tension grew as the afternoon wore on. David's presence was magnetic, filling the small space, and I caught myself stealing glances, my heart racing each time our eyes met. "You're quiet today," he said, setting down his tools, his voice gentle but probing. "Everything okay?" I shrugged, focusing on the wood, but my hands trembled. "Just thinking," I mumbled. He leaned against the workbench, his gaze steady. "About what?" The question was simple, but it felt like a key unlocking a door I'd bolted shut. Before I could answer, the first twist hit. Theo burst into the workshop, his sketchbook under his arm, his face a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "Mom's looking for you, David," he said, but his eyes darted to me, narrowing. "Finn, why are you always out here with him lately?" The accusation was subtle, but it stung, amplifying my guilt. David laughed, ruffling Theo's hair. "Just teaching your brother some skills," he said, but Theo's frown didn't fade. As he left, his parting glance felt like a warning, and my stomach churned. Did he suspect something? Was I that transparent? David turned back to me, his smile softer now. "He's protective of you," he said, stepping closer to adjust my grip on the sandpaper. His hand brushed mine, lingering a moment too long, and a spark shot through me, electric and undeniable. I froze, my breath catching, hyper-aware of his warmth, the faint scent of his cologne. "You're doing great," he said, his voice low, but his eyes held mine, searching, as if asking a question neither of us dared voice. The air crackled, the workshop shrinking to just us, the world outside fading. The second shock came swiftly. Mom's voice called from the house, sharp and urgent. "Finn, David, come inside." We exchanged a glance. The moment shattered and hurried to the kitchen. Mom stood by the counter, her phone in hand, her face pale. "I got a call from your school," she said, her eyes on me. "Someone sent a video to the principal about you and David." My heart stopped. A video? Of what? My mind raced to the porch, the workshop, every glance I'd thought was private. "It's blurry," she said, "but it shows you two close." They're questioning if it's appropriate. The room spun. Close? Had someone been watching us? Theo, hovering nearby, looked away, his guilt palpable. "I didn't mean to," he blurted, tears welling. "I filmed you guys last night, just messing around, but I showed it to my friend, and he sent it." My blood ran cold. How? My own brother? The betrayal was a knife, but worse was the fear. In San Francisco, where acceptance thrived, rumors could still spiral, threatening Mom's job, David's reputation, our family. David's hand rested on my shoulder, steadying me. "We'll fix this," he said, his voice calm but firm. Mom's eyes softened, but her voice was resolute. "We're meeting the principal tomorrow," she said. "But Finn, David, I need the truth. Is there something I should know?" The question was a crossroads, and my heart pounded. Luca's face flashed in my mind. Not a crush, but David, the man who'd become my world. Could I admit the feelings I barely understood? As the fog thickened outside, San Francisco's pulse seemed to echo my own, wild, uncertain, alive with risk. The video, Theo's mistake, and the school's scrutiny were a storm, but David's touch lingered, a promise of something real. I wasn't ready to speak, but I knew one thing. Our bond was no longer just family. It was a secret we couldn't ignore, and the fight to protect it had just begun. The San Francisco fog clung to the Mission District like a shroud, but as Finn, Mom, David, and Theo headed to school, the weight of Theo's accidental betrayal. A blurry video of Finn and David, now in the principal's hands, felt heavier than any mist. At 17, I, Finn, was caught in a whirlwind of fear and longing, my feelings for David a secret that threatened to unravel our family. Mom's resolve, be true to yourself, was a beacon, but as we faced the principal, a new accusation turned our quiet fight into a public storm. The video was just the beginning, and what unfolded in that office would push me to the edge of truth, with a twist that could either save us or break us apart. The high school's administrative office was stark, its fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows. Principal Nguyen sat behind her desk, her expression unreadable. The video paused on her laptop. Mom stood firm, her nurse's calm unshaken, while David's hand rested on my shoulder, a steady anchor. Theo, guilt-ridden, fidgeted beside me, his sketchbook clutched like a shield. This video has raised concerns, Ms. Nguyen began, her voice measured. It shows unusual closeness between Finn and David. We need to ensure it's appropriate. The word unusual was a knife, twisting my guilt. Had my glances, my feelings been that obvious? Mom's voice was clear. There's nothing inappropriate here, she said. David's a father to Finn and Theo. That video was taken out of context by a student trying to cause trouble. Ms. Nguyen nodded, but her eyes lingered on me. Finn, can you explain what's happening in the footage? My throat tightened. The video, David and me on the porch, his hand on my arm. Our laughter felt innocent then, but now was evidence. We were just talking, I said, my voice shaky. He's family. The word felt hollow, masking the flutter in my chest when David looked at me. David spoke, his voice calm. I care about Finn like a son, he said, his eyes meeting mine briefly. If that's been misinterpreted, I'm sorry. His words were steady, but a flicker of something. Fear? Regret? Crossed his face. Theo, unable to stay silent, blurted, It's my fault. I filmed it as a joke, but my friend sent it to everyone. Tears welled in his eyes, and Mom squeezed his hand, her strength unwavering. Ms. Nguyen's expression softened. Theo, that was a mistake, she said. But the video spread, and we've received complaint from parents. The first twist hit like a tidal wave. Ms. Nguyen opened an email on her screen. A parent claims this video suggests an improper relationship, she said, her voice cautious. They're demanding an investigation. My heart stopped. Improper? The accusation was a gut punch, turning our private bond into a scandal. Mom's face hardened. Who sent this? She demanded. Ms. Nguyen hesitated. It's anonymous, but it mentions a student named Ryan, who says he saw Finn and David acting strangely at a soccer game. Ryan? My teammate, Nate's friend, who'd always been cold to me. Was he behind this? Or was Nate pulling strings from the shadows? The room spun, and David's hand tightened on my shoulder, grounding me. This is nonsense, he said, his voice firm. Finn's my stepson. We're close, but there's nothing wrong here. His defense was fierce, but the doubt in Ms. Nguyen's eyes lingered. I believe you, she said, but we must investigate to clear this. Finn, David, you'll need to meet with a counselor separately. The idea of being questioned, of my feelings for David being dissected, was terrifying. What if they saw through me, saw the truth I couldn't admit? The second shock came swiftly. As we left the office, Ryan was waiting in the hallway, his smirk mirroring Nate's cruelty. Heard about your little video, Finn, he said, loud enough for passing students to hear. Guess everyone knows now. My blood boiled, But before I could respond, Theo lunged forward, his voice raw. "You're lying, Ryan. You're just mad Finn's better than you." David pulled Theo back, his face tense, but Ryan's laugh echoed. "Ask your stepdad," he said, his eyes glinting. "He's not as perfect as you think." The taunt was a dagger, hinting at something darker. Had Ryan seen more than the video? My mind raced to the workshop, the porch, every moment with David that felt too close. Luca's hand brushed mine. No, not Luca, but David's in my thoughts, urging me to stay calm. Mom's voice cut through. "We're done here," she said, leading us away, but Ryan's words lingered, a threat that followed us. As we stepped into the San Francisco fog, students whispered, their phones out, the rumors spreading like wildfire. At home, the tension was palpable. Mom sat us down, her eyes fierce. "We're not letting this destroy us," she said. "But Finn, David, I need honesty. Is there anything I should know?" The question was a mirror, reflecting my fear. I glanced at David, his expression unreadable, and my heart pounded. "No, Mom," I said, the lie bitter. "It's just a misunderstanding." David nodded, but his silence felt heavy. Theo, still guilty, hugged me. "I'm sorry, Finn," he whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." As night fell, the San Francisco skyline glittered, but our home felt like a fortress under siege. The investigation, Ryan's taunts, and the videos spread were a storm, but David's presence, his quiet strength, kept me grounded. Yet, the truth I felt for him was a secret I couldn't keep much longer. The counselor's questions loomed, and I knew one thing. Our bond was on the line, and the next move would decide everything. The San Francisco fog thickened, wrapping the Mission District in a haze that mirrored the turmoil in my heart. At 17, I, Finn, was teetering on the edge of a truth I couldn't voice. My feelings for my stepfather, David, sparked by moments too intimate, too electric to be merely familial. The blurry video Theo accidentally leaked, showing us close, laughing, had ignited a firestorm, with anonymous complaints and Ryan's taunts fueling a school investigation. Mom's unwavering support, "Be true to yourself," was my lifeline, but as I faced the school counselor's probing questions, a chilling revelation turned our private bond into a public scandal. The fog might have softened the city's edges, but the truth cut like glass, and what happened next would either forge us stronger or shatter us forever. The counselor's office was small, its walls lined with motivational posters that felt mocking under the fluorescent glare. Ms. Larson, the counselor, sat across from me, her notepad open, her expression neutral but piercing. David was in another room, questioned separately, a precaution that made my stomach churn. Mom and Theo waited outside, their presence a distant comfort. "Finn," Ms. Larson began, her voice gentle, "I need to understand your relationship with David. The video and complaints suggest an unusual closeness. Can you tell me about it?" My throat tightened. How could I explain the warmth of David's smile, the safety in his touch, without crossing a line? "He's my stepdad," I said, my voice unsteady. "He's been there for me. Soccer games, homework, fixing stuff. We're close, but it's normal." The word felt like a lie, masking the flutter in my chest when his hand brushed mine in the workshop. Ms. Larson nodded, scribbling notes. "The video shows moments that could be misinterpreted," she said. "Have you ever felt uncomfortable with David?" The question was a trap, and my heart raced. "No," I said firmly. "Never. He's family." Her eyes softened, but she pressed on. "Some students, Ryan, for example, claim they've seen you two acting strangely. Can you address that?" Ryan's name was a spark, igniting my anger. He was Nate's ally, the one who'd taunted me in the hallway. "Ryan's lying," I said, my voice rising. "He's got a grudge because I'm better at soccer. He's twisting things." Ms. Larson jotted more notes, her pen a metronome to my anxiety. "I see," she said, "but the parent complaint mentions specific incidents, late-night talks, time alone in the garage. Is there anything you want to share?" The accusation was a gut punch, turning our innocent moments into something sinister. My mind raced to the porch, The workshop, David's steady gaze. Had someone been watching us? The first twist hit like a thunderbolt. Ms. Larson slid a printed email across the desk. "This was sent to the principal," she said. "It's from a parent, claiming David's influence is confusing you. They mention a text you sent a friend, hinting at feelings for him." My blood ran cold. A text? I never sent anything explicit, but I'd messaged Sam about my confusion, vague words about David's kindness. Had Sam betrayed me? Or had someone hacked my phone? I didn't send anything like that. I lied, my voice shaking. Ms. Larson's eyes narrowed, but she didn't push. "Finn, we're here to protect you," she said. "If there's anything at all, you need to tell me." The room felt suffocating, her words a mirror to my fear. I wanted to confess, to unburden the weight of my feelings, but the stakes were too high. David, Mom, Theo, they'd all suffer if I spoke. "There's nothing," I said, the lie bitter on my tongue. The second shock came as I left the office. David was waiting in the hallway, his face tense, his hands shoved into his pockets. "Finn," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk." My heart stopped. Had he been questioned about the text? Did he know? Before I could respond, Ryan appeared, his smirk venomous. "Told you, Finn," he said, loud enough for passing students to hear. "Your little secret's out." David's jaw tightened, but he stepped between us. "Back off, Ryan," he said, his voice a warning. Ryan laughed, undeterred. "Ask him about the journal," he said, nodding at me. "But it's full of juicy stuff." "The journal?" My private notebook, hidden in my room, where I'd scribbled thoughts about David, his smile, his touch, my confusion. How did Ryan know? My face burned, and David's eyes flicked to mine, a question in them. Had Theo shown it to someone, or had Ryan broken into our house? The thought was paralyzing, but Mom's voice cut through, sharp and urgent. "Finn, David, let's go," she said, pulling us away. Theo trailed behind, his guilt a heavy shadow. In the car, Mom's silence was deafening, but her hand found mine, squeezing tightly. "We'll get through this," she said, her voice resolute. At home, the San Francisco fog pressed against our windows, amplifying the tension. "Finn," Mom said, her eyes searching, "if there's anything, you're not telling me, now's the time." David stood by the door, his expression unreadable, and Theo's eyes glistened with tears. The journal, the text, Ryan's taunts, they were closing in, and I felt the truth clawing at my throat. I care about David," I said, my voice breaking. "More than I should." The confession hung in the air, raw and terrifying, and David's face softened, but he didn't speak. Mom's eyes widened, but her voice was gentle. "Finn, we'll figure this out," she said, pulling me into a hug. "But we need to be honest." The investigation loomed, and Ryan's knowledge of my journal was a ticking bomb. As night fell, San Francisco's lights flickered, but our home was a battleground. David's silence, Theo's guilt, and Mom's strength were all I had. But the truth was out, and the next step would decide our fate. The San Francisco fog swirled through the Mission District, a ghostly veil that mirrored the chaos in my heart, as if the city itself held its breath for what came next. At 17, Finn, was unraveling under the weight of my confession. I cared for my stepfather, David, in ways I couldn't fully grasp, a truth exposed by a viral video and Ryan's chilling knowledge of my private journal. The school's investigation, fueled by anonymous complaints and twisted rumors, threatened to tear our family apart, but Mom's fierce resolve, "We'll figure this out," was a beacon in the storm. As we faced the fallout, a shocking betrayal from an unexpected source turned our fight into a desperate scramble for truth, and what happened in the quiet of our home would redefine everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. The living room was a fortress, Mom's quilts a splash of color against the gray fog pressing at the windows, but the air was heavy with unspoken fears. Theo sat on the couch, his sketchbook abandoned, his guilt palpable after admitting he'd shown the video to a friend. David stood by the fireplace, his hands in his pockets, his silence a wall I couldn't breach. My confession, I care about David, more than I should, hung between us, a raw wound no one dared touch. Mom's eyes, usually warm, were searching. "Finn," she said, her voice steady but soft. "We need to know about this journal. If Ryan's seen it, it's evidence. Where is it?" My heart raced. The journal, hidden under my mattress, was a map of my soul, scribbled thoughts about David's laugh, his touch, my confusion. If Ryan had it, he could destroy us. "It's in my room," I admitted, my voice trembling. "But I don't know how he'd get it." Theo's eyes widened, and he stammered, "Finn, I might have left it out once. I was showing my friend your sketches, and—" His voice broke, tears falling. The betrayal stung, but his remorse softened the blow. Mom hugged him, her voice firm. "We'll fix this, Theo, but no more secrets." David spoke, his voice low. "We need to find that journal before Ryan uses it," he said, his eyes meeting mine. The intensity in his gaze sent a shiver through me, a reminder of the workshop, the porch, moments now tainted by scrutiny. We rushed to my room, tearing through drawers and shelves, but the journal was gone. My stomach dropped. "Someone took it," I whispered, panic rising. Had Ryan broken in? Or was Theo's friend the culprit? The violation was suffocating, my private thoughts a weapon in enemy hands. The first twist hit like a bolt from the fog. Mom's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, and her face paled as she read it aloud. "Drop the investigation, or Finn's journal goes public." Attached was a photo, a page from my journal, my handwriting clear, David's different. When he looks at me, I feel alive. My face burned, shame and fear colliding. David's expression was unreadable, but his hand brushed my arm, a fleeting comfort. "This isn't your fault, Finn," he said, his voice steady. Theo sobbed, "I'm so sorry," but Mom's voice cut through sharp. "We're not backing down," she said. "We're taking this to the police." The second shock was even more devastating. As we planned to report the theft, Sam burst through the door, his face frantic. "Finn, it's Ryan," he said, breathless. "He's at the school, showing your journal to a group of parents. He's saying you and David are more than family." My blood ran cold. Parents? In San Francisco, where acceptance thrived, conservative pockets could still wield power, and Ryan's lies could ruin Mom's job at UCSF, David's carpentry business, our lives. Sam's eyes glistened. "I tried to stop him, but he's got Nate backing him. They're planning to crash the next board meeting." The room spun, Ryan's vendetta escalating beyond schoolyard taunts. Nate, the puppet master, was using Ryan to amplify the scandal, and my journal was their ammunition. "How did Ryan get it?" I demanded, turning to Theo. He shook his head, tears streaming. "I don't know. I swear." David's voice was calm, but urgent. "We need to act fast," he said. "If they're showing it publicly, we can demand it back as stolen property." Mom nodded, already dialing the police, her nurse's efficiency kicking in. "Finn, David, you're coming with me to the station," she said. "Theo, stay with Sam. We're ending this now." As we left, the San Francisco fog seemed to pulse with menace, the city's lights dimmed by our fear. At the police station, we filed a report, the officer's questions probing but fair. "This journal's private property," she said. "If it's being used to harass you, we'll investigate. Let Finn be prepared. The contents may come up." The warning was a chill, my words about David a potential landmine. David's hand rested on my shoulder, his touch both comfort and torment. "We'll get through this," he whispered, but his eyes held a question. "What do we do with this truth?" Back home, the fog had lifted, but the storm hadn't. Mom pulled us into a hug, her voice fierce. "No one defines our family but us," she said. Theo clung to me, his guilt a weight, and David's silence was a puzzle I couldn't solve. Ryan's possession of my journal, Nate's scheming, and a looming board meeting were a gauntlet, but Mom's love was our armor. As I lay in bed, San Francisco's hum a distant lullaby, I knew the fight was far from over. The truth was out, and the next move would either free us or destroy us. The San Francisco sunrise pierced the fog, casting a golden glow over the Mission District. But as Finn, Mom, David, Theo, and Sam prepared for the school board meeting, the light couldn't dispel the darkness of Ryan's vendetta. At 17, Finn, was a storm of fear and resolve. My journal, stolen and wielded by Ryan to shame my bond with David. Now a weapon in a public scandal. Nate's manipulation, the viral video, and anonymous threats had pushed us to the brink, but Mom's fierce love, no one defines our family but us, was our shield. As we faced the board, a shocking ally emerged, and a devastating betrayal turned our fight into a reckoning that would shake the city. The dawn was here, but the battle for our truth was just beginning. The school boardroom was a sterile arena, its long table flanked by stern-faced members, their eyes fixed on us as we entered. Students and parents filled the seats, their murmurs a low hum of judgment. Mom stood tall, her nurse's poise unshaken, while David's hand brushed mine, a fleeting anchor. Theo, still racked with guilt over the video, clung to Sam, whose confession had exposed Nate's blackmail. The board chair, Mr. Callahan, opened the meeting, his voice clipped. We're here to address complaints about Finn and David's relationship, sparked by a video and journal entries suggesting inappropriate behavior. My heart pounded. Inappropriate? The word twisted our bond into something ugly, but Mom's voice cut through, clear and unyielding. My son and David have a strong, healthy relationship, she said. This video and journal were stolen to harass them. We filed a police report, and we demand Ryan return Finn's property. Her words were a clarion call, and I felt a surge of pride. David nodded, his voice steady. I'm Finn's stepfather, he said. I've supported him like a son. These accusations are baseless, driven by a student with a grudge. Ryan, sitting with Nate and Jake, smirked, holding up a photocopied page from my journal. This isn't baseless, he said, his voice loud. Finn wrote about David like he's more than family. He read aloud, his tone mocking. David's touch makes me feel alive. The room gasped, and my face burned with shame. Theo's eyes widened, and David's jaw tightened, but he didn't look away. The board members whispered and missed her. Callahan's voice was stern. This is serious, Finn. Can you explain these writings? I opened my mouth, but words failed me. How could I explain feelings I barely understood? The first twist came like a lifeline. Sam stood, his voice trembling but resolute. Ryan stole that journal, he said, holding up his phone. I have proof, text from Nate, planning to use it to ruin Finn and David. The crowd murmured, and Sam played a recording of Nate's voice. Get the journal out. It'll bury them. The boardroom erupted, parents shouting, students filming. Ryan's smirk faltered, and Nate's face paled. Mr. Callahan banged his hand on the table. Order. This changes the narrative. The second shock was a gut-wrenching betrayal. Ms. Nguyen, the principal, stepped forward, her face grim. There's another issue, she said, holding up a letter. A teacher, Mr. Patel, claims he saw Finn and David at a cafe, acting overly familiar. He supports the investigation. My blood ran cold. Mr. Patel, my soccer coach, who'd always been kind. His betrayal was personal, a knife in my back. David's hand clenched, his voice low. That's a lie, he said. We were grabbing coffee after a game. Nothing more. But the doubt in the board's eyes grew, and I felt the ground slip away. Mom's voice was a thunderclap. This is harassment, she said, her eyes blazing. Finn and David are family, and these lies are tearing us apart. You're not protecting students, you're enabling bullies. Her words stirred the crowd, some nodding, others whispering support. Theo, unable to stay silent, stood. It's my fault, he said, tears streaming. I leaked the video, but Finn didn't do anything wrong. He's just figuring himself out. His vulnerability was a spark, and I hugged him, my heart aching. Then a miracle unfolded. A woman from the audience, a parent, Mrs. Garcia, stood, her voice clear. My son's gay, she said. He's been bullied, too. Finn and David don't deserve this. Stop punishing them for being close. Her words ignited a wave of support, parents and students clapping, drowning out the jeers. Mr. Callahan raised a hand. We'll review the evidence, he said, but theft and harassment are unacceptable. Ryan, Nate, return the journal, or face consequences. Ryan's defiance crumbled, and he handed over the journal, its pages creased but intact. As we left, the San Francisco fog lifted, revealing a city bathed in light. Ryan and Nate faced suspension, and Mr. Patel's claims were under review. At home, Mom pulled us into a hug. "You faced the storm," she said, her voice thick. David's eyes met mine, a silent question lingering. My journal was back, but my feelings for him weren't. The fight wasn't over, but we'd won a battle, and our family was stronger for it. The San Francisco skyline shimmered under a rare, fog-free dawn, but as Finn, Mom, David, Theo, and Sam returned home from the school board verdict, the light couldn't erase the scars of our battle. At 17, I, Finn, had faced a storm sparked by a stolen journal and a viral video, exposing my unspoken feelings for my stepfather, David, a bond that teetered on the edge of forbidden. Ryan and Nate's defeat, bolstered by Sam's evidence and a parent's unexpected support, was a victory, but the truth I'd confessed, I care about David, more than I should, lingered like an open wound. Mom's unwavering love, no one defines our family but us, was our anchor, but as we faced the final reckoning, a heart-wrenching revelation and a bold choice would redefine our future. This was our triumph, and the dawn would seal a legacy of courage that San Francisco would never forget. The living room was a sanctuary, Mom's quilts glowing under the morning sun, but the air was thick with unresolved tension. My journal, returned but creased, sat on the coffee table, its pages a map of my heart, thoughts of David's touch, his gaze my confusion. Theo, his guilt softened by our victory, sketched quietly, while Sam hovered, his redemption a fragile thread. David stood by the window, his silhouette framed against the city, his silence a puzzle. Mom's eyes, fierce yet tender, met mine. "Finn," she said, her voice steady, "we've faced the worst. Now we heal, but we need to talk, really talk." My throat tightened. The board had cleared us, suspending Ryan and Nate, but the rumors lingered, and Mr. Patel's false claims were under investigation. My confession had shifted something, and I couldn't hide anymore. I meant what I said. I admitted, my voice trembling. "I feel something for David. I don't understand it, but it's real." The words were a leap, raw and terrifying. David's eyes widened, but he didn't look away. Theo's pencil stopped, and Sam shifted uncomfortably, but Mom's hand found mine, grounding me. The first twist came like a whisper from the fog. David spoke, his voice low but clear. "Finn, I care about you too," he said, his eyes locking onto mine. "More than I should, maybe, but it's not what they think. It's love, but not that kind." His words were a lifeline, redefining our bond. Not romantic, but a deep, familial connection that had blurred lines in my teenage heart. Relief and loss collided, my feelings reframed as admiration, not desire. Mom's eyes glistened, and she nodded. "You're both honest," she said. "That's what matters." But the second shock was a thunderclap. The doorbell rang, and Mom answered, revealing Mr. Patel, his face ashen. "I need to speak," he said, his voice shaking. "I lied about you and David, Finn. Nate pressured me. Said he'd expose my nephew's sexuality if I didn't help." The confession was a bombshell, unraveling Nate's web. My anger surged, but Mom's voice was calm. "Why now?" she asked. Mr. Patel's eyes met mine. "Finn's courage at the board meeting, it shamed me. I'm sorry." His apology was raw, and I felt a strange pity. "You hurt us," I said, my voice steady. "But thank you for the truth." The room shifted, Mr. Patel's confession a turning point. Mom hugged me, her voice fierce. "You've shown us what truth can do," she said. Theo leapt up, hugging David, his guilt lifting. "You're the best, Dad," he said, tears falling. David's smile was soft, his hand ruffling Theo's hair. "We're a team," he said, his eyes meeting mine, a silent promise to keep our bond safe. Sam, quieter now, vowed to support us, his own journey just beginning. As we sat together, San Francisco's sun climbed higher, bathing us in warmth. The investigation closed, and the school implemented anti-bullying measures, inspired by our fight. My journal, once a source of shame, became a symbol of resilience. I wrote a new entry. David's not my love, but my hero. I'm learning who I am, and that's enough. The feelings I'd wrestled with were part of growing up, not a scandal, and I felt free. This wasn't just our story. It was a call to embrace your truth, to fight for love in all its forms, and to trust in family. To anyone watching, let our journey inspire you to stand tall, to face your fears, and to know that love, in any form, is a light that no fog can dim. San Francisco taught us that, and we'll carry it forward.